Did you ever ask yourself what it was that Himmel actually saw in Frieren? And when I ask this question, I actually have a very specific moment in mind in episode 4, during a flashback where Himmel tries to make Frieren wake up extra early to see the sunrise over the ocean while they're staying in a coastal town. Frieren is skeptical that waking up will be worth the trouble, because she doubts that the sunrise will bring her any particular happiness. But Himmel tells her that she's mistaken, and that he knows she'd enjoy it because that's just the kind of person that she is. But here's a question. What did Himmel actually mean when he said that Frieren was the kind of person who'd enjoy seeing the rising sun? Who did he think Frieren really was? We actually know the answer to this question from the very same episode in which this little flashback appears. Because years later, Frieren would revisit the very same coastal town with her new apprentice, Fern, and the two of them would wake up extra early to catch a view of the very same sunrise that Himmel had once urged Frieren to see. And while they're admiring the view, Frieren has a sudden revelation about the reason why Himmel thought she would enjoy it. But this revelation doesn't happen immediately, and that's actually a pretty important detail for this story. When Frieren initially sees the sunrise, she's actually disappointed because she doesn't particularly care for what she sees. And so she wonders whether Himmel misunderstood her after all. Maybe she isn't the kind of person that he thought she was. But then something happens to change Frieren's mind. Frieren turns to Fern to tell her that she isn't terribly impressed by the view. And Fern responds by teasing Frieren. And she says that Frieren must be lying because she can see the joy beaming from Frieren's face, which means that she's got to love the sunrise more than she's putting on. But when Frieren hears this, she denies that Fern's interpretation is correct. It may be true that Frieren is smiling, but she's only really happy because she's there with Fern. And to be more precise, it's because she can see that Fern enjoys the beauty of the sunrise. And that's what's really making Frieren happy. It's not the sunrise, but Fern. But then, just as Frieren explains all of this to Fern, she suddenly has a revelation, and she finally realizes what Himmel must have meant all those years ago, when he insisted that she really was the kind of person who'd enjoy seeing the sunrise in this very coastal town. It turns out that Himmel was actually right. But what he really meant was that Frieren would have loved to see the sunrise with Himmel, or with a person that she loves in the way that she loves Fern. Because Frieren is the kind of person who takes pleasure in the pleasure of her friends, and who shares the joys of the people that she loves. And that was the reason why Himmel wanted Frieren to join him to see the sunrise all those years ago. It was really because Himmel loved the sunrise in just the same way that Fern does. And he knew that Frieren loved Himmel, and that she'd love to see the joy on his face as he admired it.